Alrighty, let me double check here real quick over to our live stream on YouTube. Nothing going on. Okay, we are at 7:03, and this is the South Carolina South Carolina Normal Cannabis Conversation. Sorry, I'm giggling because at the moment I see no one's joining me in the Zoom call. There may be some folks watching on YouTube, I don't know. But I was just amused. I feel like I'm talking to myself sometimes. Anyway, welcome to the November 24th, 2021 South Carolina Normal Cannabis Conversation. My name is Scott Weldon. I am the Executive Director of the South Carolina chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, lovingly known as NORML. I'd like to welcome anybody that may be viewing this on our YouTube or viewing it later as a recording. As I mentioned YouTube, I also like to point out that we are not monitoring the comment sections on the YouTube during the live stream. So if you do happen to have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below, off to the side, wherever, in the comment section. And we will, after YouTube's done rendering the live stream, rendering the video, we will come back and try and address your questions, comments, and or concerns. Again, my name is Scott Weldon, and welcome to the meeting. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. It is Thanksgiving Eve. I'm not necessarily surprised that participation is limited at the moment. Let me close this document. I actually heard a news report earlier today that Thanksgiving Eve or the day before Thanksgiving traffic levels are pretty much up to pre-pandemic proportions or levels, however you want to call it. So it sounds like people are getting out and about and going to see family, friends, doing some traveling for the holidays. Excuse me, let me see what that's all about. I could sort of evidence that a little bit by just my own wanderings today. I had to run out to a couple of things, had a vaccine booster. I had a pair of glasses replaced, the lenses, the ones you all may be used to seeing me wearing most of the time. And they weren't sitting right. They seemed to be sitting a little high and a little cockeyed. So I end up switching to the ones you probably see me wearing the past couple of weeks. These ones here, which are probably over 15 years old. And it was time to finally get back up to the vision care store and have them readjust the glasses. They're for distance vision, so a lot of times I don't wear them when I'm sitting here close to the computer because my old eyes don't adjust the way they used to. But as I got somebody coming in here. Excuse me. As I just mentioned, we are at Thanksgiving Eve. So I'm assuming a lot of people may be traveling and or preparing their pre-preparing some of their dinners, which is kind of what I'm doing. You may see me run off here at about 7:20, 25 or something here with a timer. Pull a couple of things from the oven to rest. But our theme and topic tonight for the conversation pretty much is talk about cannabis, talk about marijuana at the Thanksgiving table. This Thanksgiving. That's been a theme that Normal's been using. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Actually, a gift from sister-in-laws. They appreciate my advocacy and thought this was quite humorous, and I agreed. I get a lot of nice thumbs up on this one as well when I'm out and about. And mind you, I'm probably as much of a coffee pothead as otherwise. But anyway, where was I talking? Oh, that's been a theme, the talk about cannabis at the Thanksgiving table for the past couple of years. If I recall correctly, it really kind of came up in about 2017. So this might be the approximately fourth iteration of it. Excuse me. But with it tied this year is also an action alert to contact the president, asking him to follow through on his commitment to expunge marijuana records, which is something that he commented on during his campaign. I'm going to really quick on my screen go and search out. There we go. This, I'm going to drop into the chat here, is a link to the 2017 campaign, talk about marijuana at the Thanksgiving table this year, at Thanksgiving this year. And pretty much what the focus on this was, at that point, we had a lot to be thankful for. Maybe not necessarily in South Carolina. 2017 actually was just after the CBD hemp laws passed here in South Carolina, which I believe were 2016 that those had passed. So you might have a little bit more thankful here in South Carolina that things are actually kind of moving forward and moving forward in baby steps. At that time, and I don't have it on this one. Oh yeah, I do. Lawmakers in 26 states have passed legislation to advance cannabis reform, including New Hampshire becoming the 22nd state to decriminalize marijuana and West Virginia becoming the 30th state to pass a medical marijuana program. Well, it's a little bit higher now 4 years later. I believe we're at, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I don't have the numbers in front of me, 36 states, 37 states now that have medical programs. Yeah, that's pretty significant. We got about 14 to go to at least get a medical program. We are one of those here in South Carolina. And things haven't been really that much to be thankful for besides since the CBD laws. As we've talked about a number of times, we have our lovely Chief Keel, the head of SLED, and Alan Wilson, who is the Attorney General here in the state. I'll call it colluding or co-conspiring against cannabis in any way, shape, or form that they can, with their opinion letters on hemp, which legislators that drafted the legislation turned around and told them they were wrong, but it didn't change anything. That letter's still out there. They'll still use that as their, that's kind of, they like to play fast and loose with the law when it comes to how you and I behave, but not so much about when they behave. Anyhow, little tiny rant there. But we do have more to be thankful for this year, I've got to say. We've now got a variety of federal level descheduling bills out there ahead of us. We've got 4 now, 2 Republican sponsored, 2 Democratically sponsored, Senate, House, and I'm not sure if the Republicans are both House or House and Senate. I'll have to look at that. I think it's both House. We need a Senate bill drafted to companion the Mace bill. That would be a big push for that legislation. We've seen just recently here locally some interest by municipal level politicians, city council members, to at least discuss the possibility of decriminalizing their municipality. Hopefully we can move them towards a no fine, no time, sensible decriminalization policy. We're still waiting for kind of, as you know, we had elections November, I forget, was it the 2nd, 4th? A couple weeks ago. So I'm still waiting for kind of the dust to settle, and I'm assuming it's like the beginning of the year as those people get placed and things like that, as the old session winds down for, I don't know how city councils run, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, the second thing we have on top of that is other federal movement. We have seen a candidate come out that will be running against Joe Wilson in the 2nd Congressional District. Joe Wilson has received a D- from normal. You can't really get any lower than a D- unless you actually sponsor, co-sponsor, and or vote for anti-marijuana legislation. And he hasn't sponsored, co-sponsored, voted for any of that kind of thing. So really hasn't been any real anti-marijuana legislation proposed, interestingly. But Back to kind of the topic of bringing this stuff up for at the table at Thanksgiving. The big push that we are doing this year again is I just hid it from myself. Reopen it in a new window. Is the tell President Biden to follow through with his promise. Actually, it's his commitment done here to expunge marijuana records. Again, this is an action alert out from Normal's action page, take action page. This will lead you to a link that you can start to fill in your information as a voter, add your name to the petition, basically is what this is. Excuse me. It was, and let me kind of quote here, President Biden was crystal clear in the campaign when he stated, quote, I think we should decriminalize marijuana, period. And I think anyone who has a record should be let out of jail, their records expunged, be completely zeroed out. Here he is sitting as president. We've heard very little from him on moving marijuana legislation forward. And what we have heard from him has been, I want to say maybe misinformed at best. He says that, descheduling or rescheduling to Schedule 3 would be a decriminalization, which it would not. And the only way to decriminalize is to actually completely remove from the controlled substances schedule. That's the big push this year. One of the great things with this is, you can bring it up on your phone, pass it around the table. Hey, oh, my cat is kind of calling. Have each person go through and sign the petition, put their name and their details in there, and make a push, because I'm sure that while sitting around the table, more and more, you're going to have almost everybody, if not all but great grandpa, be willing to go ahead and sign that petition. And I'm going to say, in most cases, you're going to have at least 70 or 75% of the people at the table, 3/4 of them are going to be ready to go ahead and say, I'll sign it, or some may even say, I already have signed it. I wouldn't doubt. We do try and get people signing these petitions on a regular basis. So they may have seen the link recently and also gotten that out there. But it's also a great time to, while chatting with people at the table during Thanksgiving, kind of get a feel for where they are. A lot of folks, I've got to say, it's not always in the top of their mind. For me, I say unfortunately, because for me, it's almost always on the top of my mind, what's going on with marijuana law reform. And there's been a lot of exciting things again this year going on nationwide. I think we've had Louisiana decriminalized this year. We've had Virginia completely legalized for recreational use, moving that forward by quite a bit. 4 states moved legalization forward at the elections that was last year, 2020. But yeah, we've had a lot going on. I know 4 cities at least 4 cities in Ohio decriminalized this past election cycle a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot moving forward, not necessarily again here in South Carolina, but that's why you and I are out here, folks. We're out here to hopefully get those things moving forward. It was interesting after the election. As I mentioned on some of our other calls, we went to an event called Blue Jam here in Charleston area. Got to meet with may have been one of the interns. I don't remember meeting the candidate himself, but candidate named Judd Larkin who's running against this Joe Wilson. We were contacted by them a few days later as a follow-up to the event, saying that they'd like to talk to us and get a little bit insight on, and maybe, you know, talk a little bit about marijuana as a policy and such like that. So it was a great conversation. We expect to have some more conversations with the candidate and his team in the not too distant future. And I'm kind of looking down in front of you. We often send out our brochures to folks. If you don't have one, you can find them on our website. You can look at the, you know, they're on our website as a PDF. I think we have the new version out there. And it's interesting because I just mentioned the new version. This is a relatively new version, and I'm going to say relatively new because I think we actually came out with this before the obviously before the previous printing, because I have one in my hand printed. I want to say earlier this year, and we've changed it up. We had our deputy director, Kristen, sort of help redraft some of the components of it. And it used to be, I think, the 5 different points that we would like to kind of talk about: medical and hemp and CBD and you know, decriminalization and civil asset forfeiture and veterans. Actually, it had to be more than 5. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. Anyway, she kind of came through and trimmed it down to, I'm going to say, the 4 different reasons, the foremost that we believe to be the most important are listed. Oh, Shane may be having a connection problem. Where was I? The brochure actually contains the 4 that we believe the most important on the list. And they, again, I'll let you go out and find it. I'm not going to go through and run the brochure. If you have one in hand or have one handy, take it along with you. There's a couple of things in here I would love folks at every Thanksgiving table to know about. When you see me out at our events and you see me handing out the brochures, I always go to the same thing, and maybe it's more my focus than other folks, but just on the inside, there's this section here. Let me fold the other panel back and see if I can move this in a little bit. This is the top section of the Normal Foundation Freedom Card. The top section here in green kind of describes what it's about. The bottom section there, see the little scissors on the edge there? You're supposed to cut that out. You're supposed to put that with your identification, with your driver's license. I want everybody at your Thanksgiving table to have that with their driver's license in case they're ever stopped by law enforcement. I want them to read the top section of it so they understand why I want them to have this bottom section with their driver's license or their ID if and when they're ever stopped by law enforcement. So that's usually my biggest push. But the Normal Foundation Freedom Card basically explains your rights under the Constitution. Your right to remain silent, your right to be secure in your person, your possessions and your papers, your right to an attorney, the 6th Amendment. So it's important information to know. You'll also, and this one doesn't really talk about it, well, it talks about it, especially because it says I invoke and refuse to waive my 5th Amendment right. And your 5th Amendment right is your right to remain silent. So you don't need to be answering questions. As a matter of fact, the Supreme Court even says, do not talk to police. Don't answer their questions. My favorite guy is the Pot Brothers at law. Just shut the fuck up. Don't say it, because they're saying foul language, although not illegal, will agitate law enforcement many times. But you're not required to answer where you were, where you're going, any of that information. And I want everybody at your Thanksgiving table, I'm picking up extra papers, to know that. I personally, and as an organization, we believe that marijuana laws are unconstitutional. Prohibition is unconstitutional, but the Supreme Court refuses to. I'm not even going to get into the Supreme Court right now. But again, let me go ahead and actually grab the link from our website for this brochure. I should make sure I get over to the YouTube and pop it in there later too. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. Is it the new one? Yes, it is. All right, there is a PDF of our brochure. I would say you keep a copy of it, send it out to some of your family members, keep it in your phone. So while you're talking at the Thanksgiving table, if they want it, you can easily share it with them. Let me peek at my clock here. I'm sure I have a timer going off any second now if it's not already, folks. I am going to pause the conversation and be back in 2 minutes. Please bear with me. Did I make it in 2? I hope so. All right, we were just talking about, I shared the link of the brochure. Okay, I'm not sharing it on the share screen. But otherwise, that's really the biggest message I have for you tonight is while you're with your family, probably the biggest thing you can do to help move our efforts, our mission forward, is to just talk about it, bring it up. Well, little small gathering with my young nephews, or grands, step grands, I probably won't be wearing too much, although they've seen it before. And they've heard the conversation with me too often. But anyway, that would be probably my best starting point is having you keep that link with you for our brochure. It goes through a lot of reasons on why, more so than anything else. The other thing is during the conversation, it is coming up on Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving. We're not doing any special discounts, should I say, but our big holiday, and it's already out on our website. Our big holiday release is our new 2022 memberships are out and available now. We've created a new enthusiast pack with kind of, as my team put it to me, we kind of threw the whole kitchen sink of our merch in there. For those that really want to kind of wear it loud and proud. We will be doing a drawing, I guess you want to call it. Anybody who does get their, basically a membership drive for anybody who does sign up for the new 2022 membership before February 15th will be entered into the drawing. We don't have our prize selected yet, and we haven't announced the drawing yet. But that will be coming. We'll be announcing that pretty much at the beginning of the new year, maybe a week or so before, maybe Christmas, something like that. So keep an eye out for that, because we will be announcing that. And what else news do we have? Oh, I think I do have a little notepad here. Coming up next year, we'll talk about this off and on as we hit our last couple of conversations for this year. Coming up next year, we're going to do a slight variation of the cannabis conversations. Talk to some of the board members, and I think what we're going to do is incorporate our monthly meeting, what we used to have on, well, we have on the Tuesdays, third Tuesday of the month, will now be incorporated into one of our Wednesday conversations. It will be the second Wednesday of the month, will now be our actual normal public open meeting. So we're going to kind of throw that in the mix with the regular Wednesday conversations. Our public meeting each month really consists of an overview of what's going on at federal level, over what's going on at state level, which is what we talk about a lot on our conversation anyway. The only real addition to that is some normal chapter business, such as talking about planning of events and or what's going on with that kind of stuff. With that in mind, there is an event that we've been talking about a little bit off and on, and it looks like we are going to nail down the date of February 9th, Wednesday, February 9th, for a lobby day at the Capitol. We don't see any, what's the word I'm looking for, obstacles at this point. So we are hoping again for February 9th, Wednesday, February 9th, to have our lobby day and basically a rallying on the steps or something of the building. Don't know if it can be a rally. They have this question, is it a rally, is it a press conference? And we're going to be letting the press know that we're there. I don't know if we're actually announcing any specific initiative or anything like that, which is what I would consider a press conference, is announcing some sort of initiative or some sort of a campaign or some sort of a something. I think if we do call it a press conference, really the best we can do is to say just our announcement that we are here this year in 2022 to really push our legislators to move marijuana legislation forward and to come into the 21st century. And so that's kind of all the other sort of things that would be added to this Wednesday conversations on the second Wednesday when we start doing our monthly meetings then. Some of that info. So yes, put that on your calendar, February 9th, Wednesday, February 9th. Otherwise, folks, it is 7:32 I see on my clock here. Not a whole lot more to talk about on this Thanksgiving Eve. I do kind of have to get back to my kitchen a little bit, and I'm betting you may as well. So I do want to thank you for being here with me. Matter of fact, I see Joey's on the phone with me. Joey, keep an eye out in the morning. You'll probably get the alert. Your order's being dropped into the post tomorrow, so you should have that tomorrow. It won't get in there till Friday, but hopefully you'll see it Saturday or Monday. You'll see your package come in. So that's not too far away. Otherwise, that's all I have for you tonight, folks. I want to thank you for joining me here on the call. We will be back again next Wednesday at 7 p.m. And otherwise, look for us on our social media, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, if you visit our website at scnormal.org, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll find the link to sign up to our newsletter. So please sign up there. That's it for tonight. Thank you again for joining me. We will see you again next